Welcome to the Total Health Podcast, where we embrace the art of holistic wellness and midlife transformation. I'm your host, Cherise Marie, here to guide you through this enriching journey towards overall well-being. Remember, your journey towards total health is uniquely yours. Together, let's cultivate wellness, one episode at a time.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unmasking Self-Love and Success with Face Analysis. I am Tammy Cho. I am here to really share a really interesting thing with you, really share what your own face and body could tell you, about your life, and really, invisible blocks even. And just a little bit about myself. I am a former registered nurse, patient care leader, turned international best-selling author. I am a face and body analysis expert, as well as a self-love and energy leadership mentor. And what that all means is that I essentially help impact-driven entrepreneurs and leaders really fall in love with their authentic self and to really raise their worthiness level so they can show up in their power, their passion, their purpose towards their meaningful impact, right? And I use the face and body success of loving self deeper, of having a deeper, letting in a deeper health and wellness within ourselves. And so let's just dive right in. I'm not able to see the comments while I'm talking, so I apologize about that. But if you do have any questions that come up along the way, definitely leave them and I will come back, circle back around and make sure I answer any questions you might have.
Today, I've got something truly extraordinary to share. Something that could help you unlock your mind's full potential and transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Let me introduce you to brainworkaudio.com, the ultimate tool to help you listen, transform, and thrive. Whether you're aiming to enhance your focus, improve your sleep, or cultivate a sense of calm, Brainwork Audio is your partner on that journey. Their mission is simple but powerful: to empower individuals like you to achieve personal growth and well-being through the transformative power of sound. Here's what makes them stand out. Every audio track at Brainwork Audio is crafted by experts in sound engineering. They blend binaural beats, scientifically designed sound frequencies that sync with your brainwaves, with powerful affirmations that reinforce positivity and success, helping you reshape your mindset from within. Drifting off to sleep with their While You Sleep music, designed to lull you into a deep, restorative rest. Or powering through your day with their Focus music that sharpens your concentration and keeps distractions at bay. And when it's time to recharge, their meditation music creates the perfect environment for mindfulness and inner peace. But Brainwork Audio doesn't stop there. They also offer specially designed affirmation tracks, audio experiences that work in the background while you relax or work, subtly reinforcing positivity and confidence. It's personal development, effortlessly woven into your daily life. I've got a special deal just for you. Use promo code SUPERFAN at checkout to save 20% on your first purchase. That's right, 20% off your first step toward a more confident, focused, and peaceful life. So why wait? Head over to brainworkaudio.com today and discover the transformative power of sound. From sleep to focus to mindfulness, they've got the perfect track for every part of your day. Your journey to turn into a better you starts here. Visit brainworkaudio.com and use the code SUPERFAN because you deserve to thrive. Brainwork Audio, listen, transform, thrive.
And yeah, so let's dive in. And so first thing I want to ask you, right? Okay, what is it that you want, right? Because oftentimes we all have our goals. There's often something that we really want. If you're part of this, likely it's on the realm of health and wellness, right? But maybe it's something else, right? Because we don't just want one thing. We often want more than one thing, right? In one area of our lives. And so just give yourself a moment with that. And I'm going to just ask you, why don't you have it right now? Okay, because often we have our dreams and goals, and there's often something that's in the way of that, right? And we're doing our best with what we know, and yet often there's these hidden barriers in the way. And I just want to introduce you to the fact that your own face and body, it doesn't lie. Your body doesn't lie. Some of you might have some background on this, however, I just really want to hit that home for people, because whatever we want and why we don't have that, often it's written all over our face and body. And today we get to dive into this, all right? And so to introduce this, I just really want to speak a little bit about where I've been as a human. Having been a registered nurse for 20 years, right? I went to work one day and essentially I had this chest pain and heart palpitation, which radiated up my jaw and down my arm. And I was really struggling to breathe. And I could still sense that metallic taste in my mouth of fear. Like, oh my goodness, what is happening? I feel like I'm going to die. And I ended up being wheeled off to emergency in front of, all my coworkers at work. And honestly, like leading up to that event, I knew I needed to take time off. I knew I was experiencing high anxiety, and I knew I needed to, let go. And I intellectually knew that, but I couldn't get myself to emotionally let go. And I think who can relate here, right? Where you often know what you need to do, but then letting yourself to actually do it might be an entirely different story, right? And so, this was me. And honestly, up to that point, right, I was so that person of always giving, so much of myself and really doing things for other people, trying to make things happy. There was something within myself that I needed to slow down and I couldn't. And so the burnout, my panic attack, as it turned out to be, right, really was this place where it slowed me down. It slowed me down to really come back to life. I actually went on long-term disability at that time. And it really wasn't, until I was lying, I had my first baby. She was 6 months old and she was lying there on one of the baby Einstein mats on the floor. And literally for the first time, she hit one of the dangling toys, right? Intentionally, right? And most moms would just like jump at this, right? And I sat there, I saw it, and I was like, kids do that. And like, honestly, right? Like, if it wasn't for this community nurse that was visiting me, sitting next to me on my living room couch, I wouldn't even known how disconnected and numbed I was to my own child, And oftentimes this is where in life, like, we don't know what we don't know. Right. At that time, I didn't know. I needed someone to, awaken me, shake me out of my box, And at that point, I started, trying to really, obviously counseling and therapy and all these things. Right. But I also, really tried to master the mind. And became a personal development junkie. I ran masterminds. I became a millionaire in my 30s, and I still felt unhappy. I became an NLP practitioner and all these things. And the answer is not in the mind, as many of us might know. And so I kept on going, and I dived into energy work. And I learned a variety of modalities. And what I noticed is that when I stopped exchanging energy healings with people, because I was essentially exchanging with other healers 2 to 4 times a week. And when I stopped doing it, like all the, depression, anxiety, self-image issues and things like that, still all came up. And at that point, right, like I knew, I'm a truth seeker. Don't know if anyone here could relate, but I kept on going. And I pulled into my life 4 years of emotional and spiritual healing. And I came across something called psychosomatic therapy, which is essentially, to keep things simple, the study of the body, mind, heart, soul together as is expressed through our physical features. And it helped me see where I was actually yearning for this deep love and connection. And yet another part of my body showed me I was actually pushing it away. And, for those that are here, you're on the journey of health and wellness, right? Like, even when I was working as a nurse, I was going to see a TCM doctor. I was getting massage. I was going facials. I was going to the gym, moving my body and all these kind of things, right? But it really didn't matter. Like I couldn't actually deeply heal until I actually shifted my level of worthiness within myself. And this is what I want to speak about more so today, because oftentimes we're doing all the things to try to help ourselves, but we're hitting some sort of block. That how come I keep self-sabotaging, right? Why do I keep on, not achieving what I want? Or if I achieve what I want, why do I still not feel happy? And so just want to like introduce you to me way back when, before the burnout. And this is the top pictures is obviously before where I was going through the burnout. Now the middle pictures is really that part of me, that original picture, so to speak. And then the picture on the left is two left sides put together. Now, two left sides, the left side of our face actually represents our private world. It's the world that we keep close to ourselves. And the right side of the face, which is the top right photo, as well as the bottom photos on bottom right photo, basically the photos on the right is the two right sides. And that represents our public face. And this is a space within myself. If you look at the top left photo in my inner world, right, how my forehead was like entirely covered by my hairline, and it's really shows how I had quite a narrowing with how I saw the world. Like I didn't have a big perspective for seeing things, and that maybe the hair, to some extent, how we wear our hair actually says something about ourselves at a deeper level, because our body is essentially a representation of our emotional history, our subconscious, the soul. And if you look at the top right photo, right, like you can see like the forehead actually was in fact narrowing in. And so this was really restricting me in how I even saw myself. You can see that my eyes were quite a bit smaller if you compare to the top photos versus the bottom photos, right? Like, my eyes entirely opened up. Because our eyes are really the seat of our soul. It's our connection to our heart. And so you can see how I was actually, I couldn't see things at a mental level. And I was quite, holding myself within. Yet my skin, I should say, well, the shape of my face was more rounder at the top, showed how I was like, just like flowing with whatever other people wanted on me. It was quite a bit rounder in this emotional zone here. And I had quite a bit of flesh back then. And so, I had a lot of emotional sensitivity. I didn't know how to navigate my emotions. Right. And you can see that my entire face shape has changed. My eyes opened up, my forehead opened up. I didn't try to keep my hair that way. It's interesting how what we see on our body actually will highlight and change and shift and things like that on our body. And you can see that my lips, like the top part of my lip, it was quite thinner compared to the bottom photo where it actually opened up in circulation, because what we actually put more attention on, right? And bring more flow into our lives and our body, is actually going to change our features. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of snapshot between, who was I, who I am now, right? Because this really opened up into me overcoming depression, anxiety, and chronically burning out without any medications. I started stepping into my purpose, being the love that I am in the world, to really make a difference and impact with my gifts. I show up visibly, regularly, invited to podcasts and invited to summits and things like this, right? I wrote a book and really putting my vulnerable story out there. And I started creating 5-figure months in my business, right? All from learning to fall in love with myself and to really raise my deservingness threshold. And so moving forward here, I really want to talk about this, because over 95% of our thoughts, right, are determined by our subconscious. And truly, the body is the subconscious. And so a lot of us have heard this statement about, our thoughts are determined by our subconscious. But less people talk about actually tapping into the subconscious in this way to actually unravel what's happening deeper. And so I want to ask you, right? Like, are you diving deep enough within yourself? Like, I'm just thinking, like, on our health journeys, right? So oftentimes there's so much information out there. There's AI information is really at the tip of your fingers in so many ways. Even if you're working with a health practitioner or coaches, right, that have valuable work and information, it's like we take what we know, but we don't necessarily apply it, right? There's so many practitioners I spoke to personally where, this is a big issue, is that how come, like, they say they want this, I give them what they need to do, but they don't do it, right? So it often is a deeper thing inside that's actually, um, you know, calling us home deeper within ourselves to address. But oftentimes, because we're on the busyness of life, right? We have a list of this long to try to complete and finish, right? And so that keeps people stuck at a certain resonance, a certain alignment, a certain level of happiness, abundance, right? Whatever that is that you want, right? And so, truly, if we're not raising this internal set point within ourselves, we actually are kind of on this treadmill, if you will, repeating the same thing, self sabotaging, making excuses, maybe falling into being right, or we're just pushing and doing the best that we know, right? But we look back at the year, it's like, did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? And, am I happy? And all, like, shifting this love threshold within myself has opened up in all areas of my life. And that's the beauty of this type of work, like love as a business strategy, as a life strategy. And so I really want to speak to this, right? And let me ask you, do you know who you truly are, right? And if you don't know who you are, like, how do you love that part of you, this deeper part of you, right? And I love this quote from Carl Jung, like, until you really make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. But really, we have this ability to, manifest and create in our energy alignment, in our body, and things like this, right? And, some of us may know this, right? But are you living it? Are you embodying it, right? Do you have the tools to really bring you to the next level in your life? And another challenge I see right out there is that oftentimes, like, even as a nurse, right, we often look to the body separate from the mind and emotions, right? Or or there's, therapy that, counseling looks at the emotions and often is separate from the body. And many people hear about the body, mind, heart, soul connection and this piece about the soul, but they see it as different from their body, right? So it's really, really different to treat ourselves in separate containers. And that was me. That was me back then, trying to fix myself, trying to figure out, was it the mind, and then was it the energy, was it, the emotions? And I was actually, that's what I was doing, right? I was treating myself like in separation. And whenever we do that, we know it's based out of the ego, out of probability versus possibility, right? We can only change within the perspective that we're able to see from. And so it's actually really important to bring this all together in one way, because if you look at just the body, right, we have these signs and symptoms. And then we have, if we're farther along, we ignore those signs and symptoms, we get physical acute challenges turn into chronic challenges. And then we have a dis-ease that is affecting our daily living, right? And like literally, if we align it to, signs and symptoms, we look at the negative thoughts, right? And if we don't address them, it turns into unresourceful beliefs. And then we keep recycling it, and then we accepted it, and then we reinforce our identity. And again, with, I think a lot of times we understand the heart and soul and how that also reinforce emotions, which gets trapped in the body, right? And then there is the whole, soul piece where we're ignoring our intuition. We feel disconnected with our passion, our life, with the people around us. And, there's the loss of self. And less talked about is the spiritual depression. And when we can see the alignment of all these things happening together and addressing them, not in separation, but in alignment, This is where, what I believe and what I've seen as creating energy alignment, where the left side of this chart is that we're in a higher energy alignment. And then on the right side, with more dis-ease and disconnection and depression and all these things playing out in our lives, right? That's where that range plays out and how we're able to really meet ourselves in a deeper way. And let me just drink some water here. Thank you. And I just really want to highlight one of my clients. Like, she is quite a bit of a high achiever. She was, creating results in the top 5% of her field. She's a talent acquisition leader. And there was a place within her that she had a lot of successes. She was, going to the gym, like, she quit alcohol and she did all these great things with her life. And she was having issues receiving herself. She knew that, like, everyone was telling her she's so good at all these things, but, really bothered her that she couldn't let it in, right? She was burning out, on the verge of burnout. You see around her eyes, it's quite darkened. That disconnection with herself has really highlighted in the zest of what was exuding from her eyes. We could see from her eyebrows how they would go up and then the ends of the eyebrow wouldn't complete. It thins out, it gets scattered. And that's how she was living her life. She was kind of trying to do one thing and another. And it wasn't from a place of loving within herself. Like, she wasn't in alignment. And that caused her to not complete a lot of tasks. She called herself ADHD, and you can also see on the top of her lip, there was these pieces, there's a whiteness on the top of her teeth. Top of her lips, and where she was holding back her words for speaking up for herself, and how this was like on the sensitivity parts of ourselves on the top lip. She wasn't like allowing herself to fully listen to her intuition. And you can also see from her face, her nostrils, even, like, they're actually, it might be hard for you to see, but they're different shapes and sizes. And so she was holding in a lot of anger, and these are some of the pieces, how it was showing up on her face. She was struggling with like chronic pain in her body. She picked up, smoking. She was, she knew she wasn't doing well, but she told herself, like, I'm doing all the self-care stuff. Like, very much like me, I was doing all the self-care stuff, but it wasn't, that is, a really positive and good thing. However, there was something deeper, and it was like affecting her and her ability to receive herself, but also show up in her business and to actually let in more income, right? So self-love and business success is so intertwined, interrelated. And I just want to highlight, like, this was after addressing those things that came from what was being highlighted from her face. You can see that her, entire, her face shape thinned out. She started to go back to exercise, but in a way that was loving and listening to her body. You can see that she was pretty open-minded in her mental zone on the top of her face, a forehead, but you can see the top picture, there's way more lines, right? And at the lower picture, it's much smoothed out. The shape of the openness, letting in intuition has shifted in her. She was trusting herself more. You can see that her eyes opened up. And you can't see it here as strongly, but you can see the eyebrows started filling out even, right? On the side view, I can see that it's starting to grow back, which was quite amazing, right? And so, yeah, I won't go through the whole face analysis, but I just really wanted to show you, right, what our body is speaking to us on a regular basis, right? There was how she was walking, showed me that she was, not on direction with her purpose. And so all these things are being spoken to. We're being spoken to. It's trying to scream to get our attention. And it's calling us to love ourselves more, to really bring alignment to the inner and outer world, right? We can see the alignment between the left side and the right side, where she was showing up more for other people than herself, right? And so, I alluded to this, right? She was like, she released a lot of the chronic pain. Like, this pain was a lot of emotion that wasn't being addressed. And that stopped her. She used to, be a yoga teacher, and she couldn't do a lot of the yoga, And so she was able to go back to what she loved, right? And she was able to release like 10 pounds of energetic weight with ease. Like, it just, like, she didn't seem like she needed to do anything. It just like slowly happened over the time together. She quit smoking cold turkey and hasn't returned to it. She received her first 10K in her consultant business that came into her business. She found she was, instead of telling her daughter how to be, she was like stepping into her leadership of modeling those behaviors instead. She had bigger industry visibility. She was invited to speak on TV. Like, I think she showed up on 50 podcasts, is what she said to me over the year, that we were working together. And, most of all, it's this confidence and love and trust standing in her, who she really was. Because guess what? This connect between our inner and outer world, whether we're aware of it or not, it really is allowing ourselves to be who we are. Like, she was struggling with a lot of imposter syndrome, right? Like, my goodness, like, she had so many gifts. Like, when I'm looking at her, I just like, wow, she's such an amazing person. And there was that place that she felt that it wasn't her. And she needed to really accept herself in that. And so I have a little mini experience just to see where you are within yourselves. And I'm going to invite you to just sit where you are in your chair as you're listening to this now or on the replay. And just sit there and just think about the goal that you want to achieve, right? So just give yourself a few moments to just feel it into your body as you're relating to what is it that you want. And I'm gonna, as you're feeling into this, like, I'm gonna invite you to just roll your shoulders forward and roll forward like this, and just breathe. And slowly just raise your body and keep raising your body. And keep raising your body until you were as you were. And as you're sitting there with your goal now, like, sit up even straighter with your shoulders, open. And breathe. And now, as you're relating to your goal and allowing yourself to breathe and let it in, I ask you if you're actually able to open your shoulders up even more. And take that breath. And just notice how you are, able to bring in more breath into the body, right? When we think we're at our limit. And I'm letting you experience all these different layers of it to see, obviously, when we're rolled over, right? There is a place where our breathing is restricted, right? And as we, see the contrast of, closing up the body and opening up to our goals, and to how much you're actually able to open up your shoulders even more. Because this is one of the simple embodiments that we do, is that we're going out about our goals, but we're actually not opening up our body to actually, let in what is it that we say we want. We're actually often hunched over. Some people who have been doing this a while, their whole shoulder structure is actually rounded forward. And so I really want to invite you to sense, like, where you were in your body when you were rounded forward, when you were just sitting there with the goal, with what is it that you want, and allowing yourself to open more to the range in your shoulders of leading with your heart. And I invite you to go about your goals, shifting your body in this way, and to really consciously allow yourself to put your attention on that. Sometimes it can feel like a very vulnerable thing to actually open up ourselves in this way and actually have our heart lead, to lead with our heart, with intention, with our embodiment in place. And I hope you were able to feel the difference. You could try it with different goals, and to see how you're relating to the energy of receiving, because very much bringing in our breath is really how much we're actually allowing the energy to flow. Are we letting it flow to our upper chest and our lower chest? Are we kind of breathing really shallow around it? Are we supporting ourselves in the embodiment of actually letting it in when it's actually right in front of us, and we don't always see it? But when you open yourself in this way, it changes your neurochemistry. It changes your receiving. And so I invite you to try that. I hope, I look forward to hearing, any comments you have around that exercise, and to really share how that has shifted your experience as you move through the rest of your day today. And so some really, just to wrap things up, it really comes down to this radical honesty within ourselves, with where we're at, with really knowing ourselves. And because we can't really develop intimacy with who we are without knowing ourselves, right? And it really is learning to accept all the parts that are, you don't feel safe to share and be with, to really fall in love with these parts of yourself, to open up your level of threshold, so that the things you invest in to do for your health, for your business, is actually going to come to fruition with ease, right? Not with the pushing energy, because we truly are changing and shifting our level of deservingness. Because often people are confusing confidence with worthiness, right? Whereas confidence is really coming to a place where you are, developing the skill, of doing lives or showing up online, or raising your ability to, run farther, that's you build confidence in that. Whereas developing a worthiness and openness to receive has a lot to doing with, I don't need to do any other thing, and I already feel whole, happy, and fulfilled. Like, I am who I am, and I'm blessed, and it is not affected by, the amount of money you make, or whether in or out of relationship, right? And there's a range with that. And so we can't change what we don't know. And so my gift to you today is to really tap into this free video series that I've created, where you get to tap into your own face, to show you where are you in and out of alignment with yourself, where you are in your self-leadership, to take all the information and to really embody your leadership, to show up in your authenticity for yourself, where you get to unravel imposter syndrome, you get to unravel exhausted and burning out, not putting yourself first. Let's address things at the core, because we are all being called to more of who we are. That's what I truly believe. And if you're that high achiever, you have that big heart, you care about making a deeper impact, starting with taking care of you and putting yourself out there in business. It really comes hand in hand. It doesn't need to be looked at as two separate things. And so I invite you to scan the QR code. I believe Sylvia will also put it into the link comments there. And if you're watching this, I invite you, when you walk through the video series and you have a certain question about your face, feel free to DM me reach out to me on my website. You could comment and tag me in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer your initial questions around your own face analysis. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time, energy, and your soul. And I hope you're getting so much value out of all these talks, and just holding a lot of gratitude for all of you guys. I look forward to seeing you around the group. Take care. Bye.
I'm Cherise Marie, and it's been a privilege to explore the vibrant world of holistic health and overall well-being with you today. We love hearing from our listeners, so don't hesitate to reach out and be part of our growing community focused on holistic living. Until next time, keep nurturing your mind, body, and soul. And remember, you have the power to create a life of total health and lasting happiness. Together, let's continue this journey towards holistic well-being. Take care, stay inspired, and as always, live fully.